Good morning. This is Pastor Jeff, and this is our daily lectionary readings for June 23rd, 2024. With it being a Sunday, I am going to be reading the 4 scriptures that are in our worship service. June 23rd, 2024, year B, it is the 5th Sunday after Pentecost. We begin in 1 Samuel chapter 17. There's multiple options, and we're going to simply rest in the end of the story, verses 32 through 49. David said to Saul, "Let no one's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." Saul said to David, "You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are just a boy, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant used to keep sheep for his father, and whenever a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I went after it and struck it down, rescuing the lamb from its mouth. And if it turned against me, I would catch it by the jaws, strike it down, and kill it. Your servant has killed both lions and bears, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, since he has defied the armies of the living God." David said, "The Lord who saved me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will save me from the hand of the Philistine." So Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." Saul clothed David with his armor. He put a bronze helmet on his head and clothed him with a coat of mail. David strapped Saul's sword over the armor, and he tried to vain and walk, for he was not used to them. Then David said to Saul, "I cannot walk with these, for I am not used to them." So David removed them. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the wadi, and put them in his shepherd's bag, in the pouch. His sling was in the hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. The Philistine came on and drew near to David with his shield bearer in front of him. When the Philistine looked at David, he disdained him, for he was only a youth, ruddy and handsome in appearance. The Philistine said to David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. The Philistine said to David, "Come to me, and I will give you flesh to the birds of the air and to the wild animals of the field." But David said to the Philistine, "You come to me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord our host, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This very day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. And I will give the dead bodies of the Philistine army this very day to the birds of the air and to the wild animals of the earth, so that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel, and that all the assembly may know that the Lord does not save by sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." When the Philistine drew nearer to meet David, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David put his hand in the bag, took out a stone, slung it, and struck the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face to the ground. Our psalm reading is Psalm 9, 9 through 20. The Lord is stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those who know your name put your trust in you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Sing praises to the Lord who dwells in Zion. Declare his deeds among the people. For he who avenges blood and mindful of them, he does not forget the cry of the afflicted. Be gracious to me, O Lord. See what I suffer from those who hate me. You are the ones who lift me up to the gates of death, so that I may recount all your praises, and in all the gates of the daughter of Zion rejoice in your deliverance. The nations have sunk in the pit that they make, and the net that they hid on their own foot has been caught. The Lord has been made known to himself, and he was executed judgment. The wicked are snared in the work of the hands. The wicked shall depart to Sheol, all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not be already be forgotten, nor the hope of the poor perish forever. Rise up, O Lord, do not let mortals prevail. Let the nations be judged before you. Put them in fear, O Lord. Let the nations know that they are only human. Our second reading today, as I scroll down, comes from the book. I have to scroll a little bit further today because there's 3 alternative readings. Our second reading comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 1 through 13. As we work together with him, we urge you also not to accept the grace of God in vain. For he says, at an acceptable time I have listened to you, and on a day of salvation I have helped you. See, now is the acceptable time. See, now is the day of salvation. We are putting no obstacle in anyone's way, so that no fault may be found in our ministry. But the servant of God has commanded ourselves in every way, through great endurance and affliction, hardship, and calamities, beatings, imprisonments, riots, labors, sleepless night, hunger, by purity, knowledge, patience, kindness, holiness of spirit, genuine love, truthful speech in the power of God with the weapons of righteousness for the right hand and for the left, and honor and dishonor and ill repute and good repute. We are treated as impostors and yet are true, and unknown and yet we are all known, as dying and we shall live, as punished and yet not as killed, as sorrowful yet always rejoicing, as poor yet making many rich, as always having nothing and yet possessing everything. We have spoken frankly to you, the Corinthians. Our hearts are wide open to you. There is no restriction in our affection, but only in yours. In return, I speak to children. Open wide your hearts also. Our gospel reading today comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. On that day, when evening had come, he had said to them, "Let us go across the other side." And leaving the crowds behind, they took him in with the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, and so the boat had already become swamped. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up, rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. He said to them, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great awe, and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" And here ends our readings for the day.